Excuse me. Good.
Hey, Tom.
What time do we?
I've got
Tom,
three or
last time we were on, I was doodling. I drew a picture of you. You think it looks like you?
It does a bit.
It does. You got the hair down, man. We are right on 3 o'clock, aren't we, Peter?
About 301, 302.
3:01. Okay. So let's get started and we'll just let everybody come on in as they can. I'm going to be very brief in my introductions. Those of you who joined us in our last learning lab, Peter and I, oh, that's great. That's great, Tom. Peter and I were delighted to do that lab for you. This one is pretty much all his. He is the improv virtuoso, this guy. He's been studying improvisation for years and years. He's done a lot of work. I won't say I don't know. You explain what you've done at Second City, but he's done work there. But he's also the accidental accountant, which I'll let him explain that one too. Accidental speaks specifically to his skills in improv. So I will leave it at that for now, and please welcome Peter Margaritis, our host for today.
Thank you, Roxanne, and thank you for saying many, many years instead of putting the number or somewhere around the number of 20 plus of years that I've studied the art and science behind improv. I have been trained through Second City through a variety of ways, but I've always taken a look at improv not from a theatrical perspective, but as a leadership tool, as a communication tool that can enhance the workplace. And yes, the accidental accountant goes to the fact that if I didn't say this last time, I'm not really good at accounting. I don't ask me to do your taxes because somebody's going to jail and it's not me. But I would have put the wrong numbers in the wrong spots. But I've been in the profession for over 25 years, and I love it. I love some teaching aspects to it, but I also love teaching accountants how to become business improvisers, so they can help grow their business, increase productivity, retain their workforce, and that is what's transpired into this virtual workshop that I'll be honest with you, prior to COVID-19, I didn't think I would ever be able to put together a virtual improv workshop and run it like I think it should be run. But the ability to do this through Zoom has allowed me to do that. And I do have a little, just like we did last time, a real simple slide deck that I want to use in this. And can everybody see this all live and in person? Dressed above the waist. Is everybody dressed above the waist? I just want to make sure everybody is at least on a minimum dressed above the waist. Okay. And and my approach in this introduction of the concept of improv, I'll just, when you hear the word improv, if you want to drop this in the chat box, that would be great. What do you think of? What comes to mind when we think about improv?
Stand-up comedy.
Stand-up comedy. I was having a little issue with my chat box, so I'll jump out of that and hear stand-up comedy. Anything else?
Tom says yes and.
Who's said yes and? Somebody got ahead of themselves.
Tom Lemansky.
Hi, Tom. Thank you for saying yes and, because most people think that when we talk about improv, it's about stand-up comedy, right? And they think about that comedian. What was his name? Drew Carey.
Yeah.
And whose line is it anyway? Where everything is made up and the points don't count. I can't wait to meet one time Mr. Carey to tell him that he's wrong, and he knows that he's wrong because nothing is made up. Improv is the ability to use our experiences, our knowledge, our interactions that we know and apply them on the spot. Now, if we were going to make something up, then I would do a whole tax seminar to all of you, and within 30 seconds, you would know it's BS, and I was actually making it up because I have no intense knowledge of that stuff anymore. So the first misconception I like to get past is it's not about being funny. It's more than that. It's the yes and approach, and I'll talk about the yes and approach. But it's really about taking the knowledge that we have and utilize it in a variety of different situations. So, in getting back to this guy here, so
there's a few more few more comments in chat if you'd like them, Peter. Just
Could you give
quickly.
them to me? I'm having somewhat of an issue with my mouse and the
Yeah.
platform. So please.
Uh-huh. Chris Noble, this is in response to what do you think of when you hear the word improv. Chris Noble, comedy and innovation. Mike Myers, focus on the situation, quick reaction and creativity. Stephen, reacting. Those are the comments we have so
Great.
far. Okay.
Thank you all very much. And I hear those I hear those more often than not, especially around the comedy aspect. And you guys are much more well versed in it because you've said a lot of the stuff that most audiences won't give me. They might give me thinking on your feet. But when we think about yes and, this is about acceptance and adding on. This is about empathy. This is about exploring ideas. This is about postponing your judgment. Yes, and's all about agreement and adding on. Now, I will preface that there are times that no is okay to use. But if we're trying to explore an idea, or we're trying to motivate people, or we're trying to connect with a client, uh, we might want to say no, but there are different ways of saying no. Yes, and did you think about it from this perspective or something along those lines versus saying no? Because no in itself is a defensive word. No, when somebody tells you no, all that does to me is I want to prove them wrong. They've evoked an emotion inside of me. When people tell me but, I'm like, well, no, there's no but here. Let's add on. Let's find a solution. And a lot of that, finding a solution, we have to park our ego basically and park our agenda. So in looking at this, I look at it from this triangle perspective because we have to have a baseline there. And that base starts with respect. Lauren, I don't have to like you, but I have to have respect for you and vice versa. I don't have to like Robert, but there has to be some type of mutual respect going on. What do you call a situation that neither side has respect for each other? Our United
Tom has his
States
hand.
Congress. I can't see everybody. I've got a little something with the platform right now is not allowing me to look at it.
Tom has his
So,
hand up, Peter.
and
Tom.
okay, Tom, what,
So
what
I
do you
know
got?
this isn't so much about comedy, but Peter, did you hear the one about when they had the fire down at Second City?
Yes,
You heard it?
I didn't hear. I knew
Or
that
you
they
were
had a
of the
fire.
fire?
Yeah, I'm
So
aware of
if
the
you would
fire.
called their phone lines at the time, they put up a recording. And the recording went something like, yes, we're aware our building is on fire and we're working on it.
Love it. Thanks, Tom.
True to
Thank you, Tom.
their character.
I was just to say the same thing. True to their mantra. Yes, and add on to it. And the thing is, a lot of times those who can improvise are very funny, and they can be very funny in the sense of just the approach that they use versus with stand-up comedy. That's a scripted piece, and there's a pattern and there's a rhythm that happens. In improv, there's nothing that's scripted, and that's the beauty of it, and accepting that risk. So we got a baseline of respect. We have to be trustworthy, and we have to trust our team. We have to trust ourselves. We have to be. We have to earn trust, as we have to earn trust from our teams, and we also need to support people. I always said when I hired somebody to come to work, whatever organization I'm in, I want to support them and give them all the tools necessary so they can be successful. Period. But if we don't have all three of these in place, principles of improvisation falls apart. Now, outside of yes and, the real key here is our ability to listen. And in improv, we listen to understand, not listen to respond. So in this manner, when we hear yes and or somebody telling us something, we're what's the old word? I'm giving you my undivided attention, which goes to focus and being present, or I'm active listening. So I'm trying to eliminate all those distractions that are out there and trying to hone in on the words that the person is saying, pausing for a moment and then responding. But unfortunately, we live in a listen to respond environment where interruptions, distractions get in our way of truly hearing what the other person is saying. So that goes hand in hand with being present or being in the moment or demonstrating focus. When we're in these critical conversations that I need to be listening, I can't be distracted with, is it my day to pick up the kid from the soccer field? Am I supposed to go to the grocery store? Or I'm so walk out of this meeting and I'm so distracted by what happened in the meeting, I can't even focus on the current meeting. So it's eliminating those distractions. Now, it sounds easy, but it's not. It's really listening and being present in the moment are probably the toughest things to do in this change of culture. But when we can do that, when we can put everything together, then we can adapt to any situation out there. And in today's disruptive business environment, the ability to adapt and change quickly, modify, move in a more expedited type of way, we solve the problem, our business can grow. And we talked about this 2 weeks ago. I've been spending time adapting my new business to this new landscape that's out there. I can't go back. And there's things that are out of our control that we need not focus on, only focus on those things that we have control over. So there's the basis for improv. Now, I've got a video I want to show, and I need to reshare because I forgot to hit the optimize video piece here. And this video is an interview with Stephen Colbert and Keegan-Michael Keel about a movie that he was in called Don't Think Twice, which was all about improv. And Roxanne, if you could watch the chat box to make sure that if you can't hear this, please let us know through the chat. I think we've got it right where everybody can hear it. So let's do this. Let's go back.
The movie is called Don't Think Twice, and it's about it was written by Mike Birbiglia.
Yes.
Who's a very funny
So
comedian.
talented, funny guy.
And it's about a comedy troupe, like an improv troupe. That I was a member of a comedy improv
So was
troupe.
I.
What was the name of your? Because they often have odd names like Third Rail Comedy.
Yeah,
something
right,
like that.
right.
Like, what was your
My
name?
favorite one is from an old cast member of yours, Dave Rosowski. Hans Christian Yes Anderson.
Because yes and
Yes,
the rules of
and is
improv.
one of the rules
Yes,
of
yeah.
improv. The group that I'm still in, I've been in a group for 15 years that comes out of the second city, Detroit, and we're called the 313, which is the area code of Detroit.
Yeah. There was one in Chicago that I called Cardiff Giant. Their show was called LBJFKKK.
LBJ, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I love Cardiff Giant. Was a great group. They were
Exactly. So, but this is kind of like your life because it's about a guy who gets sort of plucked from an improv, a small improv group.
Right.
He can't make a living at all.
Exactly. And it's there's some autobiographical elements to the film in regard to my life and my career. But the biggest thing that's kind of hard is that every rule of improv is the exact opposite of show business. So every rule of improv, got your back, I'm there for my partner, I'm succeeding, serve the other person.
Exactly. I follow the follower, serve the servant. Yes, and you're more important than I am.
Yeah. The opposite of show business. So,
Exactly. That's what Get out of my way, Daddy's talking.
I need to be a star. You know,
But you went from improv and now you're a star. Like
Right.
you must know what this guy's going through because he doesn't know how to feel.
He doesn't.
Or talk to the rest of the troupe because he went big time and now he's sort of left.
It's
the family.
He's left the family, like a family that he's made,
Yeah.
and there's an ambivalence that he has. So he's trying to get everybody else on the from his troupe. He's trying to get them all jobs on the show that he's on.
Yeah.
And then of course the problem is he gets on the show. He's trying to get them jobs, and everybody on the show is like, "Don't get fired your first year. Just you. Don't worry about your schmuck friends. Don't you get fired." So he's caught between these two worlds, and he doesn't know what to do.
Do you think, one of the things about, as you're saying, like, yes and is basically the only rule of improv.
So,
everything comes out of that.
Agree and add on to it.
Exactly.
Agree and add on to it.
Exactly, and I add on to that. But did you do that? Like, that can be the whole philosophy to live your life. When you were like a young improviser, did you find that sort of infecting the way you lived?
Yes, every day, because we'd finish a show, and then someone say, do you want to go to the bar? And I go, yes, and let's drink lots of drinks. And so,
Right. Exactly. What's that you want me to put in my mouth? Yes, and let's have another round.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, it really is. It's a game for young people.
Yes, young people should never restrict and say yes to everything. No, I think that it does work as a rule when you feel uncomfortable about something. If there's a place where you can grow in life, then it's a good thing to do. Maybe don't yes and everything. It's like, would you care for some more heroin? Yes, and so maybe don't yes and that. But I think in regard to being cooperative and doing something collaborative with other people, it's super helpful.
Did you ever teach people improv?
I did teach people improv.
That's really fun. I
loved teaching improv. And
I found out that and I'm interrupting you. I have found out, because it's all about me, baby, that you couldn't really teach them. You kind of revealed to them what they could already do.
Exactly. That's what it is. They used to say that Michelangelo's statue is already inside that slab of granite. It's already in there. You just got to let it out. Just got to...
You're blowing my mind, man.
So in watching that clip, two things that pop out. Improv is the exact opposite of show business, because improv, it's all about the team, not about me. So let me rephrase that. Improv is the exact opposite of ego leadership, because in ego leadership, it's all about the leader, nothing about the team. When we win, the leader wins. When we fail, they fail, not me. Improv is the exact opposite of that. The team is much more important than I am. I'm here to help support the team. I'm here to build the team. I'm here to grow the team. And the other part where he talks about, it's really helpful when you're trying to collaborate. Because when we're trying to collaborate, we're trying to get ideas. And if we take the yes and approach with those ideas and not shoot them down, because with ideas, we want quantity. We'll go to the quality control later, but we want quantity of ideas. And by saying yes, and we turn actually bad ideas into good ideas, when a lot of times no ideas lead to absolutely nothing. And that's an improviser's mindset. Now, listening is equally as important. And these are the two big skills for today, is the yes and approach, agree what the other person says and add on, and your ability to listen. This next video, if you're a Big Bang Theory aficionado, this was the one where Sheldon was a terrible teacher, and he was told to go see Penny for some acting lessons. So I'll let the video speak for itself, and I'll debrief after.
Okay, one of the things that might help you in connecting with your students is being a little more spontaneous. So why don't we try some improvisation?
Oh, why not? It seems like you're improvising your entire curriculum.
This is all about listening and responding.
Gotcha.
I'm going to create a character and a situation, and you just jump in when you feel it.
All right.
All right.
Action.
Okay, it's not a movie, it's improv, so no one calls action.
Hey, you taught me something. Who would have thought it?
Okay. No, the shipment has not arrived, and I really need those shoes. They are my biggest seller. Yes, ladies, sizes 6 through 10. Thank you. Oh, sorry, I have to go. I have a customer. Bye-bye. Hi, can I help you?
I'd like a frozen yogurt, please.
Yogurt. No, okay, sure. Luckily, we sell both shoes and yogurt here.
You do?
Yes, look up at the sign and remember, improv is always about saying yes.
All right. Yes. I see a sign. It says Camarillo State Mental Hospital.
What?
It's the only explanation I can come up with for why you think you sell shoes and yogurt.
Okay, you know what? Let's just try a different improv. Oh, this time we will be 2 winos living under a freeway overpass.
Oh, when we're going to use props?
You bet. I had dreams, you know. I was gonna be famous. Show everybody back home I could be someone. Now look at me. Want some?
You have any frozen yogurt?
I love watching the faces that I can see when this one, because clearly everybody was laughing. It's one of my favorite episodes. But Sheldon had an agenda. Frozen yogurt. Sheldon wasn't really listening to Penny at all. And have you ever worked with someone who's the same way, who is so stuck on their agenda on how it should be that they're not listening to anybody else or any suggestions? It's just they've already brought the cathedral, and everybody else is bringing bricks, and the whole idea has already been solidified in this person's mind, and not up to any type of idea, other ideas, thoughts, or whatever. It's my way or no way. So in listening, we're always listening. We're accepting what that person is saying as truth, and then adding on to it. Those are the two key skills that we need, because we're going to now go into the improv workshop aspect of this. And first, Roxanne and I are going to demonstrate this. And in this game, she's going to make a suggestion, like after this workshop, something. I'm initially going to respond back to her, and everybody's going to do this themselves, because I'll send everybody to breakout rooms so you can try this. So I'm going to respond back to her initially with no because, and give her a reason why. Then she's going to respond back to me with no because and a reason why. And I'm going to respond one more time back to her with no because and a reason. Then we're going to stop. We're going to have the exact same scenario the second time, but this time, instead of saying no because, I'm going to say yes and we'll have that dialogue. Okay. You ready, Roxanne?
I'm ready, Peter.
Okay, you lead.
So, Peter, after the workshop, let's take the rest of the day off.
No, because I really have a whole lot more work I have to do. No, you replied no
Do you go?
because.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, because you don't have to have that work done tonight. You can do it tomorrow and be ready for Friday.
No, because I've got this really big client and I really need to work, and I just can't. Okay. So now let's do that again, but this time with yes and.
So, Peter, after the workshop, let's take the rest of the day off.
Yes. Oh man, that's such a great idea. And maybe we can get together and collaborate for that presentation we've got coming up.
Yes, and that would be a great idea. There are a few bugs on that one I want to work out with the technology and a few other things.
Yes, and the technology bugs. I had one with this trusted advisors group that had a couple of bugs that I really need to work on, because I thought I had them down, but clearly I didn't.
Yes, and you don't.
Now we've got an uprising. So I'm gonna ask you all to do the same thing, but I'm going to give you this. After this workshop, let's meet for a virtual happy hour. So I'm going to put, I'm at the back. I'm going to put people in.
If you have a question before you go into your breakout rooms about what you just saw or what you're going to do, now would be the time to raise your hand and I will unmute you. Any questions, guys? Okay. Smart people, they got it going on. Okay.
Hold on, I want to jump out of this real quick. They've got their instructions. We are going to put there are going to be 5 rooms, and whoever's the one, I will go in. There's going to be one person in one of the rooms by themselves. Yeah, Tom.
So are we starting with no because and then moving the yes and? Is that?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
thanks.
Tom, you'll start with, after this workshop, let's have a virtual happy hour, and the person will respond no because and give a reason. Then no because and they'll give a reason. Then you start over and do it again, but use yes and. So
Easier. You don't have to worry about putting me in if that makes it easier for you guys. Whatever you have to do.
I don't know how to keep you out of it.
Okay.
I think everybody's going to go, and I'll go in and look at the participant list, and then if I have to move people into another room, and
Okay.
I tell you, what, I got a great idea. Let's improvise this scene.
I was just going to say, Peter, improvise. Go at it, man.
And you'll, if you haven't worked with these breakout rooms, you'll get a little note about joining the room, and just click join.
Yes, and they work really well.
Yeah, they do. Yes, and they do, Robert.
All right, and then I will give you the 60 seconds. It's closing of the rooms. We're going to open all rooms. Oh, actually, I can move Robert right now. I'm just going to blindly send him to a room. And the one
Wherever will you? I know.
With Arnold, Mike, and Robert, one, do it in twos, and then the first one no because, and then the second one yes and. Whoever didn't participate the first time will step in, and the one person can back out. Okay. All right. All the rooms are open.
Helps if I unmute.
Hi, Wendy.
Hello. I guess we're working together.
Yes, and in the spirit of working together, I'd like to suggest that after this whole session is over, that we meet up for happy hour.
No, because I have got so many things I got to catch up on here at the house.
No, because I just sense that you need to lighten up.
No, because I have an agenda that I just have to stick to.
No, I'm not sure you're looking at this from an real understanding of what lightening up really means and what it would do.
No, I don't. Well, that went south pretty quickly, didn't it?
Well, yes. Yes, and why don't we try the alternative?
All right.
And so, who wants to start?
I'll do it this time. So after this workshop, I suggest we meet for a virtual happy hour.
Yes, and may I suggest that we make it a margarita happy hour?
Yes, and maybe we can have some cheese and crackers with it too.
Yes, and perhaps I've got an air fryer. We could make fried ravioli, and I could have you watch me eat it.
Yes, and maybe we could talk a little bit about what's gone on in the world.
Yes, and maybe we could talk about maybe we could ignore some of the bad things that are going on in the world and just try to make it more positive.
Yes, and maybe we can just lighten up.
Yes, and I love that idea.
I think we're going to get kicked back pretty soon. It's counting us
15
down.
seconds according to my thing, but I think we've done well.
Yeah.
It was simple. I think we passed the audition. If that was.
And you can definitely see the difference between the no and the yes.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Oh, we were in the middle of a great conversation. Thank you, Chris.
So, during the no because conversation, how did that feel?
It's
Lauren.
stifling.
Like being cut off at the pass, like
Cut off.
you're expounding on an idea and someone just goes.
And Chris said stifling.
Mm-hmm.
Bursting a bubble.
Burst in a bubble. Okay.
Argumentative.
Argumentative.
Arrogant.
Big word.
Arrogant. Yeah.
And every time you said no because, it was like a downward spiral. It just kept getting worse.
That's how I felt, Wendy. It was downward. It was a downer. It was a big downer. Yeah.
So, how did it feel during yes and?
It was enlightening, fun, uplifting.
Okay,
Like
enlightening,
endless,
fun, uplifting,
endless possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
endless
exploring new
possibilities,
possibilities. Exploring new
explore,
possibilities.
exploring new possibilities. Anything else?
Just very light. It was very lighthearted and very positive. It was just a very different experience than totally different.
Now the question becomes, how can you apply this in your daily, professional, and personal life?
Avoid no.
Avoid.
Love it, Arnie.
Thank you, Arnie.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go back to.
sorry. I was
Go
going to say,
ahead.
it reminds me of someone I used to work with. We used to talk about that we weren't in the business of telling people either yes or no. We were really in the business of providing options and letting them decide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think about that a lot when you're listening to people and they're asking you questions. The yes or no answer is not really the right way to go. No,
Hey,
in fact,
Peter.
most of the time it's not.
Hey,
Right.
Peter, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Because what Chris just said made me think of it. Let's say you're in a sales meeting, you're working for some company, and the guy says, "Can you drop your price 20% and we'll do business?" If you said yes and no, I mean, how do you get to that one?
Well, well, Peter, you want to answer it?
No, Arnold, you have the floor, please.
Well, there's a variety of ways. The first one would be absolutely. What would you like me to take out?
Exactly.
Good,
Yeah.
very good, very good.
How about yes? How many can you buy?
Well,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, in our world, I'm not sure that's an option
Sure it is.
unless you
Sure
want
it is.
You want to sign me up for 5 years on a monthly? I'll drop it 20% right now.
Oh, great. So your answer is absolutely. And now you're going to put your condition that will make it work.
Yep.
Or a
good.
condition that they can't agree to. Either one, but you're not saying no.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and how important is it with that? That's a great question, Robert. And the point is never reduce your value. It's all about you're pricing the value. So you don't if you reduce the cost, you're reducing the size of the program, like Mike
Absolutely.
said.
Yeah. No, all right.
Yeah, not the value of what you're delivering.
Exactly. That's right. What would you like to leave out? You know. Sure.
Exactly, Arnie. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tom and I do a monthly practicum. We practice our coaching techniques, and one of the statements or questions when you hit a point in the coaching discussion, Tom always advocates is yes and. It's the quintessential open-ended question to get the client or the coachee to really expound further on what it is that might be possible. So it's I never thought of it in terms of improvisation until it started here.
I love that. I love that. That's
And
great.
by the way, this is an incredible skill to bring to clients.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It really is, and everybody on this call right now is an improviser, and you're professional improvisers. I'm just want to raise the awareness level to you, so you recognize that you're professional improvisers, and now take that as a superpower, and grow and help to grow your businesses. Because you know we all improvise. Some do it a lot better than others. Actually, the character. The guy who plays Sheldon, whose name is now escaping me, he's a product of Second City. So he knows how to improvise, but we all improvise. And just raising that awareness of listen for when you say no. Now, I will be transparent in this. I do a better job of being an improviser in the business world. But when I come home and I have a teenage son, it's a little difficult, but I've learned how to, and I fall off the wagon, but I'm able to get back on, and I've turned a battle into a conversation with a teenager that I never had with my dad. But he's taken that positive approach to things. A couple more exercises I want to get to. Before I do that, any other comments on the no, because, and yes, and? Anyone?
We're good.
Okay, good. So let's, we're going to do this next one. And this next one, I'll pull up the screen here real quick. And it's going to be, share the screen. It's going to be called One Word Story. And here we go. And this one's called One Word Story. And can everybody see this okay without me going full board with it?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So in this one, I'm going to put people in groups of 4 or 5. And when you get into the room, somebody goes first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and you maintain that rotation. And we tell a story one word at a time, like, Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood walked in the forest with a 6-pack of beer. Whatever. So as we're telling the story, and if someone says 6-pack, you accept, even though you know that's not part of the story, you accept that and add on to it. Okay? So whatever the other person says, that one word, you accept that word and add on to it. So the story that we are going to tell, it's going to be a one-word story. The story is why broccoli should be considered a breakfast food. Why broccoli should be considered a breakfast food. Okay? All right. And I will break out rooms. I will recreate. We're going to actually, I'm going to put 3 people per room so it's evenly distributed. I will give you guys about 1.5 minutes to 2 to do this. And any questions before I release you?
You want us to then respond back with what this final story is?
Yes, when we get back, tell us what the final story.
So somebody needs to be recording this, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, guys, see you in a couple minutes.
Hi.
And there's Wendy, Mike and Wendy. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Okay, so you got the story, right?
Sure.
Okay, you want me to start it and then you take my last word and continue the story?
Sure.
Okay. Broccoli is a great breakfast food because it's full of vitamins and minerals.
Now, are we doing one word at a time?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have the wrong one, didn't I? I apologize. I'm doing the wrong one. Let me just say broccoli. Sorry, Mike. Thank you. Broccoli.
Taste?
Great.
Kinda.
If?
You?
Put.
Syrup?
Or?
Cheese.
In?
It.
While.
Cooking?
It.
In.
A pot.
Cooking.
I don't know who-
Is.
Slow. Who's where?
I just said cooking. No, you said cooking. What did you say, Wendy?
Cooking is.
Cooking is.
Slow.
But.
It's.
Thorough.
Do we want to keep going, or we're going to get kicked out in 10 seconds?
Okay, let's go back. All right, we'll go back.
And having Second City so close, have you attended a lot of Second City stuff?
You know, my son lived at 1750 North Wells, which is like a block and a half away.
Right.
In about the 8 years he lived there, I never went there. I walked past it all the time. I have been there, but it's been decades.
Okay.
Tom, we lost you. You left us too early, too soon.
I was trying to get rid of the thing that says go back to the meeting, and I left the meeting. I'm sorry, my apologies.
Finish it off.
Please don't take it personal.
So why should broccoli be considered a breakfast food?
For health reasons.
For health reasons, okay. Is that what you guys came up with?
Yeah.
In the one-word story? Okay.
I think I said nutritional, and then I pressed the button and left it.
Nutrition, taste.
So our one words, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I found it too easy to add words that were not meaningful, because, and so that you could continue the dialogue, but you weren't adding anything to the dialogue. That was so. If I were doing it, I would say connecting words and words like that don't count.
It's interesting because with us, we were kind of going on a track that, it tasted like dinner or whatever, but we needed a couple buts and ands to get back to try to make it a breakfast.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, that those are useful, but they don't get you off the hook of adding something.
But in the end, the story becomes the story. So our story that I recorded was broccoli is a nutritional supplement that makes breakfast feel like a dinner, but it really is delicious.
That's really good.
If you did all that in the minute or minute and a half we were there, you're terrific. We just felt too many ands and buts,
And I totally messed up our group. I totally messed them up because I started out with the whole wrong thing. I started out with the story instead of one word. So I apologize, guys, but we worked it out.
Well, we found a really good way to fix broccoli.
We did.
You put syrup and cheese and you cook it slowly but thoroughly.
That's right.
Slowly but what?
Thoroughly.
Thoroughly.
We added our to cereal.
Well, I don't know.
I love that.
So
yes, Anne.
Yes, Anne. So thinking about that exercise, and Arnold, I'm gonna come back to you here real quick. I hear you about the ands and the buts, and I find that when we have 3 people, that does happen more frequently in a larger group of maybe 5 or 6 in doing this. So it can delete that way, but it does. The more we add on, the more it does tend to get placed strategically. How can you? Obviously, this is a listening game. Now, my question to you is, during this game, were you predicting where the story was going?
Mm-hmm.
At first, yes, but then you couldn't.
Then you couldn't.
You could not.
But if you could not, but at first you were trying to predict.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who are predicting, how much of a control enthusiast are you that it just really rubbed you wrong that they weren't taking your idea, but even though they haven't heard it?
Yeah, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren. I mean, but we get that way, right?
So it was Roxanne and Wendy against me, so I had no.
Poor Mike. It's so true, Wendy. We were not. It's so true. I'm sorry, Mike. Wendy, really, we got to back off, girl.
Poor Mike.
Poor guy.
So has this ever happened in conversations that you're having with clients or associates or whomever, that you're predicting where this conversation is going? And when you predict where the conversation is going, you're multitasking, which means you're not listening.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It requires us to be more present in our conversations and trying to get the self-talk out of the way, and this is where I think it's going to go, and then just listening to the conversation and not getting too far ahead and not going too far behind, but just staying present and focused in the conversation. Once again, easier said than done. Once again, I'm a recovering addict of poor listening, and I work on this every day. Sometimes I'm successful. Sometimes I gotta go back to school and remind myself, or the self-talk that I'm having in my head. Stop. You need to hear what Lauren has to say. You need to hear what Stephen has to say. Just quieting your mind down, just slowing your mind down a little bit, and which is equally difficult in an environment that we're in today, because with the unknown, our minds are spinning even faster than they have been. And to be able to slow it down so we can listen to understand and listen for that clarity.
Peter, Robert
Sarah?
just wrote in the chat line, we have to work at changing our habits.
Yes, we have to work at changing our habits. And it's funny you should mention that, Robert, because when I was a kid, I used to juggle. And I quit juggling. And last year, I was attending the National Speakers Association chapter meeting, and this one gentleman who came in, and he juggled. And I said, I haven't juggled in forever. So I wanted to start juggling again. And I went 92 consecutive days juggling. I brought my juggling balls everywhere with me. TSA agents tried to confiscate them because they looked like something else. And to the point that my highest consecutive catches was 365.
Wow.
And then I missed the day. And I've not been able to get back into that habit again. And I've tried, and now as I'm saying this out loud to you all, my juggling balls are always in front of me. I will get them out again and start to create that habit.
Are they lacrosse balls?
No, they're spongy. They
Okay.
get sand in them, and see. So you're right. We have to get back. We have to get into changing that habit, and that habit has to be something we can consecutively do to stick with it. I remember I woke up one night at 10 o'clock at night, and I went, I didn't juggle today, and well, that really made my wife happy at the time. And I said, I'll be right back. And I just went and juggled. So yes, that was just kind of like an analogy there. But yeah, we do need to maintain these habits and realize that we will fall off the wagon. But how quickly can we get back on the wagon?
Right.
How long does 365 catches take?
It took about, I wasn't even timing it. I want to say like 5 minutes. It felt like.
So 10 o'clock at night's okay. I mean,
yeah.
No, I at least I got, and I set a minimum. I had to at least do 100. Then I moved that to 200, and that's why I left at 200 when I fell off the wagon. But I am going to make a commitment and go back to doing this.
So, Peter, I just have an inherent coach's curiosity. Talk about why juggling was an important habit for you.
Because I used to love to do it. I would juggle anything I get my hands on. I used to be able to juggle a basketball, a tennis ball, and another round object. It was just, and then
Mike, look at Mike. Hold that up again, Mike.
What is that?
A hatchet.
No, I never juggled those guys. Nothing that could dismember me. But it just became something I wanted to do again, and I wanted to be better at it. And I can't. If I wanted to be better or best at it, I'd have to work on it every single day. I work on improv every single day. That's the one habit I have not broken, but I have fallen off the wagon, but I've been able to get back on it.
I try to ask probing questions, Peter, just for Mike.
That's perfectly fine. I love those types of questions. Versus no, yes. We're going to do one last game, and this one Roxanne and I are going to demonstrate. And Roxanne's going to ask me this statement. She goes, "Tell me a funny story about the time when you," and she's going to fill something in. I'm going to create this story, and for about 45 seconds, and then I'll stop, and then we're going to go through two other iterations with some slight modifications. And you guys are going to watch and then provide feedback from what you see. So, Roxanne, give me a second here to get the timer going. I tell you what, I can do two things at one time. Why don't you go ahead and start, and I will start the story.
Peter, tell me about a funny time, a story about a funny time when you were on a bike ride.
Oh, that was so much fun. I was on this bike ride, and I have a younger brother, and my younger brother's pretty smart. He's like a Doogie Howser type of guy, we lived in this neighborhood in Lexington, Kentucky, that had a hill, and we would ride to the top of the hill, and then my little brother would say, I got an idea. You see that big tree down at the bottom of that hill? I went, yes. And he says, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go down the hill. We're gonna go up the tree and out. I'm sure we could do this. Pete, you follow me. And being the gullible one, we went down that hill so fast. And as we got closer to that, just before we got to that tree, my brother veered off, and I went, bam! Hit the tree solid. Fell off my bike and everything.
You poor kid.
So that was 45 seconds. Now she's going to ask me tell me a funny story about when, something different. But during the story, she can say, that's not true, as many times as she wants. And I have to change my story. Okay,
Ready?
Roxanne? Yep.
Peter, tell me a funny story about a time when you were on an airplane.
Oh, I was on this flight from Columbus, Ohio to Los Angeles. And on this flight, I got bumped up into first class.
That's not true.
No, I didn't get bumped up to first class. I was back in the main cabin. I tried to get bumped up to Comfort Plus.
No, that's not true.
I was basically stuck in the very last seat in the back of this plane on a nonstop flight to Los Angeles. And during this flight, the flight attendant came back, and by the time she asked me if I wanted a cocktail.
That's not true.
She asked me if I would get out of the way because I was blocking the aisle, and then I went back to my seat.
That's not true.
No, I took somebody else's seat up in Comfort Plus because I really wanted to get upgraded. Okay.
I can't wait for dinner tonight.
So we're going to do this one more time, and we're going to add a little extra element. She's going to say she can use both of these. That's not true, or that is true, for the same 45 seconds. So hit me.
Peter, tell me a funny story about a time when you accidentally butt dialed somebody.
Oh my God, that was so embarrassing. I was in a conference with the board of directors, and I accidentally butt dialed my mother.
That's not true.
No, I actually butt dialed my son, and he answered, and you could hear this.
That's true.
Coming out of my pants, out of my back pocket, and people were looking at me like, "What's wrong with you?" And I said,
"Oh, that's not true."
No, they knew something was wrong with me. Seriously, they were doing it again. Seriously, did you butt dial somebody again? And I went, "No, I didn't butt dial anybody."
Yes, that's true.
And that was the response I gave. And then the CEO looked at me and said, "You're fired."
That's true.
So, other than that, I just had a blast doing that. What was it? What did that game require from an improvisational perspective? What did that require?
You had to be quick.
Had to be quick.
Light on your feet.
Light on your feet.
You
had to be in the moment.
Had to be in the moment.
Had to be listening.
Listening.
You had to be willing to be accused of lying.
Oh, that's true.
And clearly it doesn't bother me a bit.
I know it.
So, but it also, it's there to also demonstrate that I had to let go of something and move to something else. That adaptability.
Yep.
I had to be very adaptable in that situation. And for the first time I played this game was probably about a month and a half ago, and during the debrief, this was in the middle of the whole COVID-19 pandemic, the instructor said, "So what's your feedback?" I said, "Aren't we doing this every single day?"
Mm-hmm.
Right now, every single day we get up, the landscape has changed. We have to accept that change. We can't be tied back to yesterday, because yesterday has already morphed into something completely different. And the more that, and this is something the improvisers are really good at doing is adapting to that change and not being tied to what was there before. You know what? I hope that someday we get back to a pre-coronavirus, but I don't believe that will happen. You know, right now we have to, as we begin to open up our border or open up for more, to get the economies going, there's some things that we need to adapt to. And social, as I say, social distancing and all this. And then you're thinking about your clients and who you're dealing with. And Siegfried and Roy and a tiger.
I just saw that, Chris. You're killing me.
I want to see if you can adapt to it.
Because you have to adapt to a situation because if you've got a tiger standing behind you and you don't know it, and you see it in your rearview mirror, you better move or there'll be no more changing of you. You're going to be eaten and be used as fertilizer later on, within a week or so. I don't know the digestive system of a tiger. I'm just guessing. But it's the ability to adapt to a changing landscape. And that's really important these days for our sanity. We improvisers realize there's things I have no control over, and we quit focusing on those. We only focus on the things that we can control. And that's the message I kind of want to leave with you all today. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've been able to walk away with something that you can use in your businesses, that you can change the culture, that you can. I can't tell if those are knives or you just got a plume behind you there, Mr. Peacock.
It's a Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
I didn't know if he was trying to get on NBC. I don't know.
It does look like his tail.
So I thank you all for your time. I thank you for putting me on the spot and making me see how adaptable I am. As you can see, I love doing
Thanks,
this.
Chris.
And it will help. If you try to apply it every single day, create this habit of it, you will see a change in your business. You will see a change in the way you interact with people, and you will see a change how you create stronger and stronger relationships. So I thank you all so very much.
Thank you. That was excellent.
Thank you very much, Peter. Really
Thank you, guys.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you.
Roxanne, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, guys. Great to see you all.
Yes,
Thanks,
great to see you,
Wendy. Thanks
everybody.
for having us.
Thank you.
And with that, I guess we are done.
We are.
And
Yes, sir.
do I give you?
I was going to say, can you make me back the host just in case of the recording?
Make host. Change host.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Wendy. Take care, honey.
Appreciate it. Great job.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.